Hi, good day everyone. This is podcast for sustainable infrastructure and smart cities. Thank you for coming to our podcast, Ms. Komala from Hilti, Malaysia, and we have Associate Professor Dr. Faris Kamidi from Qatar University.
Thank you for having me.
We also have Dr. Siva from University Reading, Malaysia. Nice to have all of you. Perhaps we'll introduce ourselves. Hi everyone, I'm Bruce. I'm from Taylor's University School of Architecture and Building Design.
Thank you, Bruce. It's a pleasure being here. It's nice to see how life has unfolded from you being my BIM lecturer a couple years ago to now being together in the construction industry. Hi everyone, I'm Komala. My background is in quantity surveying and I am now with Hilti Malaysia to support our power segment industry partners to bring innovative, value engineered and practical engineering solutions. My focus is to drive productivity, enhance safety and support sustainability within the sector. All in all, it's to make construction better for everybody.
Hi, I am Muhammad Faris Kamidi. My educational background is architecture. So after a few stints in the industry, now I'm in the academia. Currently an associate professor in architecture at Department of Architecture and Urban Planning, Qatar University. So I'm now in Malaysia to enjoy my 2 months vacation. So thank you for having me here in Taylor's University podcast.
Hi, I'm Dr. Siva Raman from University of Reading, Malaysia. It is in Iskandar region, Johor Bahru. By profession, I'm a project manager and currently I'm a lecturer in the University of Reading, Malaysia, with more than 20 years in sustainable construction and embodied carbon.
Well, great. Such a outstanding lineup for our podcast today. So, let's start with Dr. Faris. Okay. So, coming from your academic and also architectural background, what do you think about the available or maybe not yet available architectural design principles that can help to elevate current infrastructure into a more sustainable and perhaps at the same time more resilient infrastructure?
All right, thank you, Bruce. Certainly, I think it's interesting, but definitely quite a tough first question, and unfortunately, I have to respond to that. But nevertheless, if we talk about architectural education, of course, it is not just the responsibility of the academia or the university itself. So basically, most students, they have to go through 5 years of education. Of course, it varies from country to country, but if we take Malaysia as an example, so 3 years of Bachelor of Architecture, which is equivalent to Part 1, and then you continue to the Part 2, which is normally many universities now giving out Master in Architecture. But where I'm currently teaching, Qatar University, we are accredited by the American National Architecture Accrediting Board, or NAB in short. It's a straight 5 years, so we found out that's pretty challenging, because what I'm trying to say now, it is all about not only the theoretical aspects where the moderator highlighted what potentials, design principles or design elements that students needs to address in this 21st century architecture design. There are 2 way to respond to this. My quick response, basically architecture design is more or less matured, because if you go by principles of design and the elements of design, it's more or less the same, because if you can visualize, imagine the house or any building, of course you will have the wall, you have the windows, you need the door to get into the building or exit during fire and whatnot. And of course there must be a roof and all the staircases, or if the building is taller, then you need all these vertical transportation, mainly escalators, elevators and all those things. I think all the laymen's aware about it. And to enrich the design, therefore the design principles comes into the picture. All this for me, as I have been teaching in the architecture domain or major for almost 20 years now, I believe it is very matured. Now this is the issue because with the emergence of digital technology, I would say a lot of things, especially in the industry, if we talk about these elements, have become more advanced, more digitized, I would say. For example, Internet of Things, IoT. I think the way I respond to this, because basically the university, if we refer to the Bachelor of Architecture or the Architecture Education curriculum, and if you look into the next layer where we have all the courses syllabus, I think this is where many universities or academia are struggling in terms of keeping abreast with the technology, because everything is so rapid nowadays. Therefore, my point is that we need to bring in insights from the experts of the industry. I think this is where the theoretical aspect of architecture education is not only about learning the technical know-how, but it is also about the what we call the future aspirations of the architecture education, or if we can zoom out a little bit wider, we are also addressing the built environment domain or architecture, engineering and construction. So for examples, I think there are many universities have been doing this. I think some of the universities that I have been teaching, we are pretty lucky. For example, even like TELUS, if I can use this as an example, although I'm not really teaching here, but I realize the surroundings itself, the Bandar Sunway alone is the living laboratory. And many industry experts are around this area. For example, we have Ms. Komala here to share her expertise. So I think this is something that universities must keep continuing doing it, and therefore I strongly suggest the students, in terms of finding a good Bachelor of Architecture program, also to look into this teaching pedagogy or teaching and learning aspects. So I think I'll stop here now. Thank you.
That's a very comprehensive response for the sustainable infrastructure stand. Well, Ms. Komala, you are a very, how to say, a very interesting position because you are the younger generation, being said that we are from the young generation. But she's the younger generation. At the same time, okay, you being background in quantity surveying, and now you are venturing into the power section, okay, the construction of the power section. So maybe you want to talk about what are the available industry, or even more specifically, Hilti's innovation on whether the materials or the technology in developing sustainable infrastructure.
That's a very interesting question that you've asked, and to answer that, in Hilti we believe sustainability goes beyond just greener materials. It is about the whole system, the whole construction process. We call it like a life cycle, right? The end-to-end process. That means reducing embodied carbon, avoiding over-design, and cutting waste across the asset life cycle. For Hilti, for example, we spend about 7% of our annual revenue globally in R&D. And to me, that is a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So we take sustainability very seriously, health and safety, environmental pollutions and carbon emissions and things like that. And the three areas that stand out for me in terms of sustainability is our mechanical fastening on steel systems. So just to share a little bit, there is no need for welding or hot works, and that itself speeds up installation, cuts emissions and reduce risks. And we also have our in-house Profis software. This is where digitization comes in, where we help engineers avoid over-design and material waste, and also value engineering, because you can reduce the base plate size and things like that. On top of that, we also have dust extraction tools, where this is and low vibration tools. So this improves like air quality, energy efficiency, safety, and this is very useful in enclosed areas like substations and turbine halls. And another thing that we have is our fleet management. So that's how we support circularity, because we lease these tools, meaning we actually own them. And last year, this itself saved 600 odd tons of carbon emissions, because we manage the recycling, the reusing and the collection of these tools. And we also offer circularity reports. So this means our construction partners, our customers and clients can see actionable data and insights from their consumption of our tools and consumables.
Wow, seems like it's very impressive what have been done by Hilti and the Hilti people. Okay, so next, okay, we have Dr. Siva. Dr. Siva, I'm so impressed, okay, with your experience. First of all, you have the real life working experience as a project manager, and then later you kind of like transition into academic, where you can pass down the knowledge. You are at the same time a Green Building Index facilitator, and yeah, currently you are keeping up with the trend of digital engineering. So can you share with us some strategy, okay, or innovative approach in terms of project management that can help support the current sustainable infrastructure needs? Okay, as you can see, the population, or due to a massive urbanization, the needs of infrastructure is never ending, especially in the emerging markets such as ASEAN countries. So what's your take on that?
Thank you very much, Mr. Bruce. Yes, currently this is an issue which is widely acknowledged everywhere, that the government through CIDB have initiated a lot of strategies to improvise, especially not only on building but also on township. For example, I can share that IRDA is Iskandar Region Development Authority. They are moving towards smart city, and another project which I can quote is the Pan Borneo, which they have used so many digitalization like drone technology. They even have a rating tool which is called Infrastar, right? So the obstacles which I see is that at a different level, contractors are still finding it very difficult to comply to these policies by the government, by the CIDB and so on. But on another aspect, many universities have moved on into a digital BIM, which conform to the 7 or 8 dimension. For example, we have like BIM 3D, we have BIM 4D, 5D. Like 4D is related to time scheduling, 5D is related to costing, and of course 3D is on design and so on. And now I can see that more universities and also contractors, developers are going towards energy and sustainability, which is 6D. And compared to last year, I can see that now FM, facilities management, 7D, it's moving towards like software, which are not very expensive, but abilities are there, conferences are being held, And eventually now we are going towards 8D, which recently CDM, Construction and Design Management Act, has been also implemented in Malaysia, where 8D on health and safety. And I think just now Ms. Komala mentioned about waste, right? That we are going towards 9D, which is on lean construction or waste management. And Dr. Faris has mentioned about IoT, which is on the 10th dimension, machine learning and so on. So I believe that now is the best climate where government, academic and also the industry are working synergistically towards sustainable construction and sustainable infrastructure.
Oh, that's a very comprehensive elaboration on sustainable infrastructure. So now we go back to Dr. Faris. So Dr. Faris, just now as one of the distinguished speakers for our Taylor's University Transformative Digital Leadership Symposium, you have mentioned about the global outlook of AI development and in fact AI capital investment. Okay, so maybe you can share a bit more in terms of the development of smart cities. Okay, as we mentioned, Malaysia or ASEAN countries generally, I think other than Singapore, we are developing countries, so the resources and perhaps we have limited capital. Is there anything that you like to share from the perspective of Middle East, especially the rich Middle East countries?
Okay.
What's their take on that?
All right, okay, certainly. All right, okay, I think again another interesting question. I think for me, of course, the moment we mentioned about capital investment, so therefore the capability varies from country to country. I think I'm not saying that the richer country will spend more. It doesn't work necessarily that way because sometimes the emphasis could be different. For example, maybe certain countries they will spend more in terms of education, but not in the smart city, for example. Although apparently smart schools can be one of the important tenets of a smart city. But having said all these things, I think back to the core questions from Mr. Bruce, obviously I would use the word GCC countries and therefore the cities, especially the main capital cities. Like at the moment I'm living in Doha, Qatar. We all know Doha because of they successfully hosted the best FIFA World Cup 2022. I think the final was absolutely, fantastic match. 3-3 during the full time and then penalty all the way until the end. So it was very fantastic. Unfortunately, I couldn't be in the stadium because the ticket even behind the goalpost was like 3,000 ringgit Malaysia.
Oh.
So I will not invest my money. Just I think nevertheless we watched. Many people around the world watched the match live. So the point is that in Qatar, for example, or in many cities around GCC, they make the investment, but because the issue with GCC, although it is not so much about investment or the money that they can invest, it's more about the expertise, the human capital. First and foremost, I think if we are not familiar with some of these countries, GCC is Gulf Cooperation, what we call countries. So basically there are 6 of them, which Qatar, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, and I think UAE, United Arab Emirates. So they make 6 of them, but they also sometimes involve Jordan, so they invited, like ASEAN, sometimes we invited China and other countries to come into the summit and things like that. So what they do is basically they will start like a pilot project. So one thing that I can highlight responding to Mr. Bruce's question is that leading towards the World Cup preparation.
Mm.
So Doha basically has come up with the redevelopment of Musharraf area, which is one of the downtown area of Doha. I think historically it is like 200 years of rich history, and they redevelop the area and it becomes smarter. And I think if I remember correctly, just about last year, they won some of the key awards, global awards. You know, I think one of them is FABCI, FIABCI award. I forgot which category, but they won the smart city categories. Some of the things that can be done, of course, I think the core or the major issues with cities we live today is could be about energy consumption, right? So I think, of course, some of the easiest things to do, and therefore again I have to highlight Internet of Things, all the sensors come into the picture, right? So all this, although it looks like smart meter, if you talk about water and all these utilities stuff, we also talks about how people move from one point to another point. I think within Musharraf downtown, it's not really a big area. It's just like, if I think people can imagine Bandar Sunway, for example. This is also one of the fantastic development that has happened in Malaysia. So they have a tram, and interestingly, the tram is free. You just hop in, hop out, and along the city itself, they have very effective public transportation mode. And of course, during the pleasant weather, especially during the winter time, people will be able to walk a lot. So they have a very interesting what we call pedestrian pathways. So I think although some of the examples I mentioned is not so high tech, but this is the important elements of smart city.
Yeah, smart city.
Yes.
I think that's very informative sharing, especially I've been to Doha, Qatar. It's a very impressive place, especially like in a temperate climate, like there's a lot of desert, the temperature is fluctuating, but maybe we can sustainable power sector. Okay, so the same goes for Dr. Faris. Okay, so there's a lot of informative sharing, especially some perhaps exemplary case studies from Middle East. And of course, for Dr. Siva, there's a blend of both industry experience and also the academic education. Yeah, so hopefully it's really a nice sharing among all the subject matter experts. And with that, thank you and see you all again next time.